Mia Dyson, welcome to Australian Musician.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be with you.
Your album Parking Lots from 2005 was nominated for 5 ARIA Awards and won Best Blues and Roots Album. Why did you decide to re-record some of those tracks for an EP?
Well, initially it was just going to be a re-release on vinyl, because obviously when Parking Lots came out, vinyl was just not a thing. And it's been so fun and thrilling to see vinyl come back. And my most recent albums are all on vinyl. So it seemed like, given that it was the 15th anniversary, an opportunity to re-release it on vinyl. And then, the band was like, why not perhaps accompany it with some stripped back versions of some of the songs. And, it wouldn't have occurred to me. So, I have to give credit to my wonderful American band here who didn't play on the original record or anything. They just were, we've done so many things together, and they were keen to see me and help produce it, see me, redo these songs. And it actually was, a kind of wonderful surprise to discover that, a chance to sing these songs in the way that I think I hoped I could sing back then, but, was almost trying too hard. It was like, I was 23, something like that. And I think I was trying to prove myself and had all these notions about, trying to be a certain way instead of just letting myself be myself. And so I feel like what re-recording these songs has done is allowed me to rewrite history a little bit and be the artist I wish I could have been then, because I just feel like I'm so much more authentically me, and also to give those songs particularly like the song Roll Me Out, which is kind of a tragic song or tragic subject matter, a more subtle and gentle take than the original, which is quite a rock song, and there's nothing wrong with that. But somehow it just felt like giving the song it's sort of it's due in some way.
Yeah. Had you been playing some of these songs in the rearranged way, or did you had to rethink every song for the EP?
Had to rethink every song, and it was really quite fun, because I was trying to think, how could I make them work solo for starters? I know that they didn't end up being completely solo, but I was so band minded back then, and I still am, but it was like, could this, which songs would work, just literally with a guitar and voice. And I think solo often lends itself more to acoustic instruments, because I'm an electric guitar player and I love it, but there's something about a voice and an acoustic guitar together. And I now have, just as my kick around guitar at home, a nylon string, and I've really come to love nylon string a lot more even than steel string. And so I started finger picking some of the songs and sort of slowing them down or finding a different rhythm for them, and and also trying some on piano, and a couple ended up feeling like, okay, piano and voice feels really good. A song like Choose, which was originally quite a gentle guitar part anyway. So that was really fun to explore. And then just the simple matter of like, okay, now that we've got a vocal and a guitar, what else feels like it could go on here? And we put on some double bass, and I think we ended up putting drums and bass on Parking Lots as well, but after the fact, we didn't play it live in the studio. We put the guitar down and then added the drums and bass, which is kind of an odd way to do it, but I think it worked.
Yeah. Did you record in LA, or did you go back to Memphis where you recorded your last album?
No. Oh, actually, Muscle Shoals was where I recorded the last record. But no, my band has a studio in Ojai, which is about an hour north of LA, hour and a half north of LA. So just super easy working up there, and we didn't want to make a big product. I mean, no pun intended, no big production of it, but just make it really fun and easy and simple.
Yeah. You're coming back to Australia in April for the Parking Lots tour, which was supposed to happen last year, I think.
And the year before.
The year before. So how has life been for you the last couple of years? I mean, apart from recording this EP, how have you handled it?
Oh, wow. Well, that's a big question. It's been up and down. It's been, funnily enough, like the challenge of just being kind of homebound initially, as we all were, well, maybe not all of us, but a lot of people were homebound, was not such a difficult thing, since, when I'm not touring, I'm very much, like that's my life. I'm not going to a job 9 to 5, and I think that must be tricky for people to lose that structure and that. But I was already used to that, and so I was, that was fine. But then I had this big health scare towards the end of 2020, and that was pretty intense to go through. And so it was a challenging experience to, it was probably about 6 to 8 months of recovering from that. And in a way, it was kind of perfect to be in the pandemic because, I wasn't supposed to be anywhere anyway. So I was able to really take the time to heal and, deal with some, it was kind of it was a near death experience. So there was a lot of not just the physical recovery, but the mental recovery as well. And, ultimately I feel like I feel like we are really can say we're emerging now from the pandemic, and I feel stronger and, grateful for the strange blessings that it has brought to me. One of them being, that near-death experience, made me more grateful for my life and more in touch with its temporary nature, and has helped bring even more connection in my relationships and joy and enjoyment of what I do, rather than I think, a fairly common experience is like worrying about the future and lamenting the past. And, I feel like I'm able to do less of that and be, for want of a less cliched term, like be in the moment.
Yeah. As we said, you're coming back in April, touring. Who's going to be playing with you?
So I've got the absolute pleasure of having two wonderful players with me. Dave Williams on drums, who plays with lots of people, but probably most well known for playing with Augie March, and Tim Keegan on bass, again an incredible player who plays with all sorts of people, but I get to steal them both for a few weeks. And then we're announcing the openers very soon. I can't spill the beans yet, but there'll be some wonderful people, some up and coming artists joining on lots of the shows as well.
Yeah. So what's your current stage rig? What are you bringing out to play with?
Yeah, so I just bought myself a Milkman, the Creamer. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. Yes, I'm very excited. This will be my first tour playing with it, because I've always had my Golden Tone, the amp made in Melbourne in the 60s, which I absolutely love, but it's like I'm at the point where just having a smaller rig is just like quite a big deal, and to be able to fly that around, I've got it in a case that the whole thing's under 23 kilos, so it's like life is a lot easier that way, which is now a factor. And then I'm still playing my dad's handmade electric guitar. It's a Tone Deluxe Standard that he built for me in '97. So it's a cream. It goes beautifully with the Milkman. It's like they're both cream colored. And then I just got my pedal board redone finally with a proper pedal train bass, and I've got all sorts of goodies on there. The Super Bolt is kind of a distortion pedal that I use, or an overdrive pedal. The classic Boss OD2 overdrive pedal, a Gaia Tone Japanese made delay pedal that I love. Gosh, what else? Oh, the flip tremolo and reverb pedal, which I really love. What's it called? Sorry, I don't know if I'm going into too much detail.
No.
Let me think of my board. No, it's now escaped me what the name of the little, I've got this little like booster thing that I love. It kind of just like drives the amp a little bit so that, you know, instead of just turning the amp up to get that drive, I just, you know, can use this pedal. Forgotten what it's called. And then of course my tuner and my little EQ pedal as well. So I think that's all of them.
So you've got a new album in the works. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, I guess I can tell you, I think it's definitely been influenced by my experiences, that near-death experience, for sure. There's definitely some themes around mortality and gratitude that have emerged in this record. I think it's mellower than my previous records. I think what else can I tell you about it? It feels, again, like I've been on some epically long journey. I wish there was another word for that. Of finding my authentic voice. You know, I know I said a bit about that with regards to the re-recording of Parking Lots. And it feels like this record is another leap closer to that. So, you know, I don't feel like I'm forcing anything with this record. And even though I wouldn't have said I was forcing things with other records at the time, when I look back, I see that I was trying to do a particular thing rather than allowing the music to kind of unfold and dictate. Because music, I mean, songs will do that. They have a life of their own, and you can either fight it or you can go with it. And I think I've been fighting it so much my whole life because I'll be like, I want it to be this way, and it just doesn't conform to that. And I feel like this record is me letting the songs be what they, you know, what they seem to want to be, which is weird. It's all very kind of mysterious. Like, you'd think, well, if I wrote the song, I should be able to make it how I want it to be. But I don't, in some ways, I don't feel like I wrote the songs. I feel like I allowed these songs I sat down and these songs kind of came through, and I don't get to own or decide them as much as I used to think, you know, I did. And of course I'm, you know, in control of lots of things, and who the players are in the studio and what the tempo is, and, you know, all of that. But still songs will, you know, push me around and I'm not fighting it as much, I feel like. So I hope that makes some sense.
What about bucket list projects? So the things in the back of your mind, you know, maybe I'll do that one day.
Oh, like in general or just in music?
Well, either.
It's funny. I mean, I used to think I really wanted to do bus touring in America, because that's kind of like, you've made it if you tour in a bus. So I guess it would be fun. I'm sure I'd like to do that at least once, but I've heard from too many people now that it's nowhere near as fun as it sounds, and it's actually really hard. And so that I've actually been blessed to like tour in a, you know, a little minivan and stay in hotels and get to see the world as it goes by. And so that's kind of a weird one. I haven't done much touring in Europe. And I think it would be super, super fascinating or like, I mean, not that we want to think about going there now, but places like Russia and, you know, Eastern Europe, and there's so many places. I just feel like playing music is the way to travel. And I'm not as like interested in just being a tourist and going traveling, but getting to see the world through the lens of being a musician who's coming to play there and getting to meet people locally through music, so that other musicians and the venue operators and all of that. So South America too, like, again, I don't have audiences in these places, at least as far as I know. So, but that would be a dream come true. That would be definitely a bucket list thing, to get to tour basically anywhere that would have me, so that I could experience these, places through music. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Mia, we look forward to seeing you back in Australia in April, and thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, and thanks for your support.